Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another DraftKings EPL soccer slate breakdown. So, this is a pretty large slate, a six-gamer. We haven't seen a Premier League slate this long in a long time, and I'm super excited for it. I just wish DraftKings would be a little more kind of on point with it. We didn't see contests come out till like Friday morning, and we didn't see prices come out till as I'm recording this, basically. So Friday evening, which is kind of insane. I wish that DraftKings would kind of take more care of their soccer product, but rant over. We have a lot of games to get through. Okay, in terms of projected lineups, Brentford in this team, Region and Jensen split. Brentford have been a weird team lately. They've been just getting hammered left, right, and center. They had a tough run of matches. Then they finally had an easier game against West Ham, and they just continued to get smashed. So I'm not kind of 100% sure what's going on with them. They're kind of short on players, so I can see why they have basically the same lineup as the one that got hammered by West Ham. So probably will be right. Just they're a weird team to look at right now. As for Chelsea, Chilwell Monopoly. Now they have been playing, or no, not Chilwell Monopoly, sorry. Gallagher, Chilwell split in this team with maybe a little bit of Cole Palmer. Chelsea, they've had a lot of fixture congestion, but Chilwell was one of the guys who they rested in their cup match where they frankly struggled against, was it Leeds? Yes, it was Leeds. So he should be locked to start. Gallagher also, I don't think, started, so he should be a lock to start. And yeah, they will split set pieces. Everton, West Ham. It's interesting seeing Ducore deeper because I think Onana and Idrissa Gana Gueye are both likely out of this match, which brings Harrison into the lineup in like the pseudo 10 role. In terms of set pieces, Dwight McNeil and James Garner split. If we see no James Garner, it'll be Ashley Young splitting with Dwight McNeil. For West Ham, James Ward-Prowse Monopoly. Bowen took, I think, one corner short last West Ham game. I'm not going to look into it too much. Ward-Prowse's whole basically job is to take set pieces, so I'm not too worried about that. Fulham Brighton should be largely a Pereira monopoly. You might see Reed or Harry Wilson take a couple of one-offs, but well, basically Pereira on everything. For Brighton, we've seen Gross take everything more often than not. Over the cup game, Estupinian played and he didn't take, which was a little bit strange considering they've been splitting when both on usually. But then we saw their new guy. I want to say his name's Barco, something like that. Valentine something, I know. Valentine. Yeah, but it's Barco. Yeah, and we saw him take a set piece off the bench. So they're a little weird, but if it's this lineup, it'll be no doubt it'll be gross monopoly. For Newcastle, Trippier on everything. And for Wolverhampton, mostly Sarabia, maybe a little bit of Neto, maybe a little bit of Tommy Doyle. All right. Forest, Gibbs White monopoly. There's not even really any doubt of that now lately. For Liverpool, Liverpool are going to be weird. We're not 100% sure who's going to play. Roberts, a lot of these guys are questionable, even in that are in the starting lineup in the prediction. Like Robertson, I know is questionable going into this. We could see him, we could see Simicas. Either way, it'll be one of them taking set pieces and McAllister splitting with whoever it is. And the left back will likely take, I'd say, slightly more share, a slightly larger share than Mac. But basically a split between the left back and McAllister. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, Joe Gomez has been playing in the midfield as our last cup game, so watch out for that. He was mismarked at center back. They had Bradley playing further forward over their game against Norwich, but it turned out to be this, so I expect it for Gomez to be there and Bradley to stay right back. Tottenham, Poro still out for another week or so. And said so. Madison continues to take most set pieces. Kulusevski might take a couple. And then now these days for Crystal Palace, we thought it'd be Wharton everything after he took that a couple games ago, but then suddenly Glasner's first game in charge, he had Wharton and IU splitting, so I expect them to continue. Oh wait, no, and França took one off the bench, so I'm not 100% what they'll do, but Wharton will take a side, in my opinion. Then it's about whether IU or França take the other. Glasner's still settling, so we're not going to be 100% still, but it'll be one of these guys. In terms of prices, most expensive forward is Gross. I worry a little bit about rotation from some of these teams that just played in the FA Cup, like Brighton, like Gross, who just played 90 minutes. Still think he likely ends up starting and likely ends up as a pretty good play. There's some of the Liverpool guys like Diaz, as is questionable. Oh, he'll be available. I doubt they rush him back though because of their issues with rushing back Elise and him in the past. So he'll start on the bench guaranteed. I'm sure of it. Unless they're just psychotic. But yeah, there's a couple of Liverpool guys, Diaz, Gakpo. It's not Liverpool's most favorable matchup. I could see this as a big trap game considering how many games in a row Liverpool are playing, how strung out their squad is right now. I worry about them a little bit. And so I'm not really in love with Liverpool attackers. There's Jared Bowen. I don't really think it's the matchup for him. Everton, I think, will keep it tight. I know he had that hat trick last game where I played him and loved him. I was at home though, and away, I'm not really sure how much I like him compared to especially these Tottenham guys like Son. He was not great when I played him last weekend against Wolves. I'm still not afraid to go back to that against Crystal Palace. Despite their new coach, I don't think they're all that. Ivan Toney. I don't mind Ivan Toney play. This is a Chelsea team that's played a ton of games in a row and not played particularly well in them either. So I could see myself getting the Toney. He had 11 floor against West Ham. I'm kind of interested in that. I don't know if I'll get there in cash, but it's something to think about. Nunez, that's a cheap price for Nunez. If he somehow ends up starting, I really like that. He should probably be a K more considering how good he's been. Like he's kind of developed some end product, which was kind of the one thing that we had an issue with Nunez, and he's still continuing to take a ton of shots usually. So if Nunez somehow ends up playing, I really like that. There's Jordan Ayew. He broke the slate last game with 36 points, with 14 crosses. Tottenham's a lot tougher of a matchup, so I worry a little bit about that. I worry a little bit about França potentially taking some of his share. Like again, it's a little bit of a question mark around Ayew, but that could be where he punishes when he ends up low owned and in a good spot, just not on paper. And Ciso's back apparently. Yeah, I'm not. But that Fulham Brighton game is going to be difficult to pick from, in my opinion, just because they're both teams that like to possess the ball. So it's hard to see any of them dominating like both of them like to do. It becomes a bit of a toss up. There's Gordon. He's won 120 for Newcastle against Blackburn. So I worry about his minutes slightly, but we've seen Howe is kind of basically refusing to rotate and just letting his guys play. So I kind of respect. So Gordon, I don't think is that bad of a play. For 7,300, I think it's pretty fair. Ati not really interested in. Brennan Johnson. Wait, who was starting for? I need to go back to Tottenham for a second. Okay, they had Werner instead of Brennan Johnson in. We'll see if it's possible which one starts. I don't really mind Brennan. I think he's a solid player. He offers a little bit of floor usually. Although we didn't see that against Everton. Against Crystal Palace, I'm pretty happy picking Tottenham in that matchup. McNeil 7,100 is not bad. West Ham is not that scary of a matchup typically. The way Moy sets up, it's kind of he does better against possession teams like a Brentford. Everton aren't going to be that, so it kind of makes it a little bit better for them. So McNeil, I don't mind. Edingra, there's a Wobie. He's not a bad GPP play. He has those really big games once in a while. For GPP, I don't mind him. For cash, I don't think he's worth it. Gibbs White, 6,800. That is so cheap. So cheap. And this is a Liverpool team who's got to be tired and likely still has a couple of young kids in there because of just their squad's fitness. Like, I think, yeah, Bobby Clark is still in there. Joe Gomez is still in the midfield. Like, that's not a full strength Liverpool team. Monopoly set taker. I could see myself playing Gibbs White despite the matchup. I don't think that's bad for 6,800. Eshak 6,700. That's not a bad GPP play either. There's a couple of pretty interesting kind of mid-range forwards I'm seeing here. I don't think Callum Wilson's back yet. Yeah, still out. Which makes me not mind an Eshak play here. They subbed him out early against Blackburn. Makes me think they're gonna make sure he is 90 fit for the weekend. So don't mind Eshak. Muniz, he's gotten a little bit too much for me. When he was cheaper, I didn't mind going to that. He's been hot, but I don't think that's sustainable, and he's gotten a little more expensive because of those numbers. Burner 6,500. That is not bad. That is a cheap Tottenham attacker. Like he's been pretty good, largely. I don't mind Timo Werner. Alanga for GPP. I think Nottingham Forest could be a sneaky, sneaky GPP team, despite kind of my love for Liverpool. But objectively speaking, I think Nottingham Forest are not a bad play. Jackson 5,800. That is cheap too. A lot of these guys feel almost mispriced. Like there's a lot of ways you can get to in GPP especially because of these cheap forwards. They open up a lot of doors and they can all get there in different ways. Halmoran 5,400. That is cheap. Was he in projected? I doubt it. He was. Man, cheap forwards this week. Cheap forwards. I don't mind that. There's another Forest play, Iwani'i. He used to play through the Liverpool Academy. I know that from my FIFA career mode with them back in the day. Anyone else super low here? Madueke, 5,100 is not that bad. DCL, 4,900 is not that bad. Okay, there's a couple of the Liverpool cheap forwards like Kumas and Dans. Both scored against Norwich. We'll see if Klopp gives them another opportunity in the Premier League. Pretty big difference, I feel. So my lean towards they probably won't play, but for that cheap, they're worth a punt, just like they were in the FA Cup. Everything else probably won't play. Stone, basically Stone min forward price of Origi is interesting, I guess. That's it. There's plenty of options at forward. Cashiest guys, though, are gross, are Tottenham guys. But then there's definitely some other ways you can go. Midfield, Olise's out. Madison, like he's the first guy in. Just continue to play him. He continues to take everything. He doesn't always get the goal contribution that'll win a GPP. But for cash, you just play him, I still will have him in GPP. Since while other people probably need two goal contributions just to be like guaranteed optimal, he probably needs one because his floor is so high. Um, Neto is too much in my opinion. If we see no Sarabia, I could see the argument for it. There's Sarabi. I don't think he's that bad. Connor Bradley, 7,800. That's too much for me. For a right back, I don't like that. James Madison. Well, not James Madison. James Ward-Prowse, I meant to say. He had no game flow against Brentford, and he still had 9 points without a goal contribution. Like, he's a safe play. I don't mind that. I could see myself getting there. Cole Palmer. He's been hot, but I feel like Brentford bounced back. I really do. Kulusevski, 7K. That's not that bad. He takes some set pieces usually. I could see myself getting there too. The thing is because this is a six gamer, there's so many options, so many ways to go. Pereira, 6,700 is not that bad. Show Soybean is in. I love that. Stay with McAllister, I don't think is bad for splitting set pieces. There's so many midfielders and so many forwards and so many interesting plays, really. Gallagher for 6K, splitting set pieces. I think he doesn't have enough upside. He's been scoring last couple games in his little flurry, but I don't think that's sustainable. But it might be worth going for it though for that cheap for set pieces too. Mudryk for 5,500. He takes set pieces. He was in my core in the FA Cup slate involving them, and he scored. Like, I'm interested in that too. Harry Wilson, 4,500 is interesting. I know he didn't do anything against United, but he's capable of getting points for sure. For that cheap too. That's worth it. Jensen, 4,300. That's a set taker right there. That's not that bad. So many ways to go. So many ways to go. Tommy Doyle, if we see none of the Wolves wingers play somehow, I'm interested in that. If we see no Sarabia, I think he's more likely to split with Neto than Sarabia, so I could see myself going there in that case. But that's not that bad for that cheap. Bobby Clark, he was in projected. Cheap way to get to Liverpool. Yeah, there he is. Not crazy in love with it though. But lots of guys there. All right, D Trippier, you plug him in for 6,600. I was willing to play him when he was 8K on the FA Cup slate. I think I did pretty well on that slate. I think I came second by like a pass or something. It hurt me a little bit, but this is cheaper than he usually has been, so I'm down for that. 6,600 Trippier. There's Simicast. Okay, I hope Robertson gets a start over Costas just because of the savings. But whoever starts, I will likely plug because Liverpool set taker, not a horrible matchup, and takes large amounts of sets. Estupinian, I'm kind of done with. I played him in the FA Cup. He somehow got to 10 points despite not taking any set pieces. I don't really want to risk that again. So I'm done with that. Wharton, 5,500. I played him last weekend. He did all right with 8.5 with a clean sheet. Not that I know Ayu or Franca or whoever is starting is going to split with him. I'm kind of done with him too with that matchup. Now there's Region, who also I've been playing and has not been great, but he's just my kind of player. Like he got me a takedown not too long ago in that, what was that, 19-point game. I still feel like he has that in his locker. I'm not judging him off of that Liverpool Man City game. This West Ham game where he was kind of poor bothers me a little bit, but considering he's still playing at wingback where Brentford are pretty attacking with, so I'm not. I might go back there. I might have to go back there. I'm not as sure as him as I was a couple weeks ago, and I'm not as sure on him compared to Liverpool guys, though, for sure. There's Anthony Robinson. Oh, my computer not working. It's loading. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. He's been just putting up pretty solid numbers. I just think Brighton's a tougher matchup. I'm not as interested against Brighton. Now there is a really cheap Ben Chilwell. Now look, Ben Chilwell, go to stop. Sorry about my dog. Ben Chilwell he takes set pieces, but he doesn't offer anything besides them. If there's no Conor Gallagher, I'll go there for sure. It means he likely has Monopoly. With Conor Gallagher, it's a bit of a 50-50. Like it's debatable whether he is worth it or not. I just for that price, I might just have to go there. Like that is so cheap for a set piece taker on a favorite. They are favorites, right? Yeah, on a favorite. Like I might have to go there. Definitely not a lock though. I'm always a fan of set piece taking defenders though. Like that's one of the first things I look at on a slate is there a set taking defender on a favorite automatically makes me a fan of them just because if you're a favorite team, you typically get set pieces, and if you're a defender, you're typically underpriced as a set piece taker. In terms of the rest, like those are I talk about my three favorite defenders. If you see Valentin Barco in at left back, I'll play that for 3,700. I'll play him over both Chilwell and Reguilon. Everyone else, like I'm not going to spend a ton of time on. Dan Burn for 3,400 is not that bad. I don't mind any of like these on favorite center backs. I pair him with a set taker. Kwanzaa, Toffolo, even just add a 3,200 fullback isn't bad. But Kwanzaa, Dan Burn, Romero, Van de Ven, I don't mind any of those guys. Konate, any of them. They're all fine. Not Julio, but any of those other guys. Okay, that's enough fun. Defender, goalie. Especially on a six gamer, it is even more of a crapshoot. That's one more opportunity for a random dog goalkeeper to maybe squeak a 1-0 result or something, somehow stay clean. They suddenly have like 20 points. Or just one of like just for some reason a goalkeeper to go off, like a Vicario or something, getting 20 points. Like it's just a crapshoot. The more goalkeepers there are, the more chances of that random nuke because of just goalkeeper variance. So it doesn't really matter who you go. Just hope for the best. I don't mind picking from like a low goal total in cash or just whatever small advantage you can kind of talk yourself into. But at the end of the day, it's just so random for goalies on DraftKings DFS. In terms of my core, the first two names are easy. Simicas / Robertson, like whoever starts doesn't make a huge difference. I'd just rather the 1K savings. Ben Madison, and then it's a little bit harder who you go from here. There's the argument for a Chilwell or a Reguilon. I likely end up with at least one of those guys, but is there anyone more for sure that I can go? I'm not sure. I might just plug Ward Prowse. This might be what I do. I could go him. I might go McNeil. I'm not sure of it currently which one I end up on, but it'll likely be one of those guys or a defender. So I'm not going to give a third man at this moment for that. For what I end up deciding to do for this slate, make sure you check out the FSI website, join the Discord, and I'll be a lot more concise on my thoughts like an hour to lock when the lineups come in. For now, I'm just not sure, but I talked about a couple of those guys who I'm thinking about putting in there. So I hope that's good enough, guys. And that'll be it. I hope I didn't keep the video too long. It's hard to break down a six slate. But good luck, guys. Hope everyone has a good time. Champions League coming back this week, which I'll have videos for and be covering. The big soccer weekend. I think 16 soccer slates on Saturday. Just insane. I'll be covering them all. MLS is back. Excited for that. And make sure you subscribe and like the video. Okay. That's all the promo out. Later, guys. Good luck.